Welcome back. This is episode number 4. Episode number 4 of Bibleverse Voyage, discovering God's Word, where we make our way through the great book of Jesus. My bad, I didn't mean to hit it. The book of Jesus. Uh, Don't put me next to Mike Todd for putting syrup on the Bible.
There was another church that was kicking the Bible
Yeah, he
for
punt
the
kicked
Super
it.
Bowls.
Yeah, for the Super
He
Bowl.
was part of it?
No, not Mike Todd.
Yeah.
That was another church. But yeah, but
Yeah.
I seen that one where
For
they
Super Bowl Sunday.
yeah, oh, it hit somebody in the audience. Yeah,
Because that's the world we in now. We just
yeah,
kicking the Bible.
yeah. Not only you go kick the Bible, but you go kick it.
Assault somebody
Yeah, you
with
go
it.
assault me with the Bible on top of you kicking the Bible. The least y'all could have did was caught it. You didn't even catch it. And then it's the same church that did the wrecking ball. They played that what is it, Miley Cyrus? Yeah, had him coming down in a giant wrecking ball. That's what the world we coming to.
Wow.
But yeah, so episode number 4. Welcome. Hope y'all are enjoying this so far. So far. And yeah, so we're going to be starting today at 16. Genesis 16 will be our starting point for today. So get your translation ready or get your ears ready, whatever one you want to go, whether you just want to listen to us read it or follow along for yourself, whatever way works for you. Um, but yeah, we just go jump right on into this thing. We'll do our prayer and then, get it going. All right. Is this the way we're supposed to? No, feel
It
right.
doesn't matter.
It gotta feel right. It gotta feel right. All right. Let's clear our minds, our hearts. Get it ready. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you seeking a closer relationship with you, seeking better knowledge of you. We ask that you give us the wisdom to read your book and the understanding to understand what it is that you would like us to do and how you would like us to live our life. Father God, we ask that you open our eyes, open our minds, and our ears to hear you as we go through this book. And just be with us as we take this journey. Um, be with our audience as they watch this video and as they also make it through their journey. And, do you. In your mighty name, amen.
Amen. Do you?
Do 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 you? Sometimes you just gotta let God be God. Just gotta let God be God.
Yes. Also, don't mind if you hear our dog. There's nothing wrong with him. He's eating. He has water. He just wants to be out here causing chaos.
You started him back up. He was quiet too.
No, he hears my voice. He wants to be out here. He's fine. We take care of him. We love him. Chapter 16. Abram's wife Sarai had not borne any children for him, but she owned an Egyptian slave named Hagar. Sarai said to Abram, "Since the Lord has prevented me from bearing children, go to my slave. Perhaps through her I can build a family." And Abram agreed to what Sarai said. So Abram's wife Sarai took Hagar, her Egyptian slave, and gave her to her husband Abram as a wife for him. This happened after Abram had lived in the land of Canaan 10 years. He slept with Hagar, and she became pregnant. When she saw that she was pregnant, her mistress became contemptible to her. Then Sarai said to Abram, "You are responsible for my suffering. I put my slave in your arms, and when she saw that she was pregnant, I became contemptible to her. May the Lord judge between me and you." Abram replied to Sarai, "Here, your slave is in your power. Do whatever you want with her." Then Sarai mistreated her so much that she ran away from her. The angel of the Lord found her by a spring in the wilderness, the spring on the way to Shur. He said, "Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going?" She replied, "I am running away from my mistress Sarai." The angel of the Lord said to her, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her authority." The angel of the Lord said to her, "I will greatly multiply your offspring, and they will be too many to count." The angel of the Lord said to her, "You have conceived and will have a son. You will name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard your cry of affliction. This man will be a wild donkey. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand will be against him. He will settle near all his relatives." So she named the Lord who spoke to her, "You are El Roi, the God who sees me." For she said, "In this place have I actually seen the one who sees me." That is why the well is called Bir Lahai Roi. It is between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar gave birth to Abram's son, and Abram named his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to him. That was chapter 16.
All right. What failed?
My phone.
Oh, okay. All right. So one of the things that, you know, when I was first reading through this, and then one of we've talked about this before, um, is so Sarah and her Egyptian slave. So why is it that she treated her slave so badly, right? It was Sarah's idea to get her pregnant. So why is it that she then turns around to treat her badly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to answer that question, you must first understand the traditions that was back in that time. So this is a pretty known tradition for this time period and some of the time periods going forward. Um, if you had a slave and you was unable to have children of your own, the way it was structured is you would then have your slave bear a child on your behalf. That child will then belong to you, not your slave. That's the way it was set up. So there'd be what do they call it? Surrogate mothers, people who just basically have babies for you, and then that's basically how it is. So that's how it was set up. So they would then be the oven, the baby carrier, because the wife was unable to bear any children, so they would then put it off on the surrogate. She would then have the baby, and then the baby would then be the mother's, not the surrogate's. That was the traditions for many years. Um, we have surrogates now, so you can kind of say it's a tradition still unto this day. It's just that that person ain't a slave. Um, you know, 200 years ago, that's debatable. um, but yeah, they just, they acted like a surrogate. So technically, what was her name? Hagar would just be the carrier, not the mother. The moment she gave birth, the baby would then go to Sarah, and then Sarah would then raise that child as her own. The problem was Hagar did not do so. After she she found out that she was pregnant, and then after she gave birth, she basically, in today's term, forgot her place in the family. It's basically what it was. She didn't stay. She didn't stay in her lane. She was a little shaky. She didn't stay. She didn't stay in her lane. And she kind of thought that she started feeling herself a little too much, and you know against Sarah. So therefore, that's why she then brought it up to Abraham, and Abraham was like, "Hey, look, bro, that's your surrogate. That's your she works for you, not me. So you do whatever you feel is necessary, right?" So he was like, "I ain't got nothing. I ain't got nothing to do with this, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got that. Y'all work that out, basically." And so her way of working that out wasn't the best way. I'll just put it that way. Um, it wasn't the best way, to treat her like that, to the point where she wanted to where she did run away. But that's why she did it. So it wasn't like she got jealous because she had a baby and she didn't. It's more of the concept that you know in their time, that baby should have technically been Sarah's, and Hagar didn't see it that way, view it that way, or want it to be that way. And then she also forgot her role in that family. She overstepped her boundaries, and that's what got her in the situation there. And then when you get to the last part of her, seeing God. So everyone knows that you can't see God. If anyone see God's face, they will then die. No one can look upon the Father and live, um, because He's just that holy and that pure and righteousness, and we are far from it. So we are not able to look upon that. So he basically showed her his back, on which when we get into Moses' story, he do the same for Moses. You can't see my face, but I will show you my backside. So that was that part where she then looked upon the Lord, because he, you know, showed himself to her. Well, at least the back of him, you know. What is going on with those dogs outside?
No, if I start talking, our dog is gone. It's gonna start. So.
So yeah, so that's that story. So what I'm saying, if y'all was feeling some type of way, uh, now y'all know the whole story, and then y'all can make a sound judgment on whether or not y'all still feel Sarah um, overstepped, or you know, how would y'all react? I guess for the female audience.
Because I have opinions. I really keep them to myself.
No, sure.
No, no.
That is why we here, is to go through the book
Oh,
and discuss the book for better understanding. What is your thoughts as a woman of God and as a female? What is your opinion on the situation that they got going on here?
I just feel like, you know, I kind of side with Hagar.
Why is that?
Because we don't know if Hagar even wanted to be pregnant
Right.
by Abram. But you gave Hagar to your husband
Right.
and said, get her pregnant. And then, what, we don't know. What if she got attached to her baby? She carried that baby, held that baby
See,
for
but
however long the birth is. I
so
get the politics of the time, but
right.
you might, like, that's how people who are planning to give their baby up for adoption. But then they change their mind because they like actually hold their baby and they're like, oh wow, like I fell in love with my baby.
Yeah, but legally they can't do that because that's not your baby no more.
Some people, I feel like some people have done that though.
If they probably got took to court because you
Mm.
signed papers, you basically signed the rights to that baby over to somebody else. And that's the thing. This is where we live, right?
Yeah.
If that's common, this is common practice, right? So that means it's something that is known, you know, that they do. Now, whether she agreed to be the surrogate or not, we don't know. But what we do know is that she was chosen to be the surrogate, and you know.
Hmm.
But anyways, let's get back into this. Go ahead, jump into 17.
When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him, saying, I am God Almighty. Live in my presence and be blameless. I will set up my covenant between me and you, and I will multiply you greatly. Then Abram fell face down, and God spoke with him. As for me, here is my covenant with you. You will become the father of many nations. Your name will no longer be Abram, your name will be Abraham, for I will make you the father of many nations. I will make you extremely fruitful, and will make nations and kings come from you. I will confirm my covenant that is between me and you and your future offspring throughout their generations. It is a permanent covenant to be your God and the God of your offspring after you. And to you and your future offspring I will give the land where you are residing, all the land of Canaan, as permanent possession, and I will be their God. God also said to Abraham, As for you, you and your offspring after you, throughout their generations, are to keep my covenant. This is my covenant between me and your offspring after you, which you are to keep. Every one of your males must be circumcised. You must circumcise the flesh of your foreskin to serve as a sign of the covenant between me and you. Throughout your generations, every male among you is to be circumcised at 8 days old. Every male born in your household or purchased from any foreigner, and not your offspring, whether born in your household or purchased, he must be circumcised. My covenant will be marked in your flesh as a permanent covenant. If any male is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that man will be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. God said to Abraham, As for your wife Sarai, do not call her Sarai, for her name will be Sarah. I will bless her. Indeed, I will give you a son by her. I will bless her, and she will produce nations. Kings of people will come from her. Abraham fell face down. Then he laughed and said to himself, Can a child be born to 100-year-old man? Can Sarah, a 90-year-old woman, give birth? So Abraham said to God, If only Ishmael were acceptable to you. But God said, No, your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will name him Isaac. I will confirm my covenant with him as a permanent covenant for his future offspring. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will certainly bless him. I will make him fruitful and will multiply him greatly. He will father 12 tribal leaders, and I will make him into a great nation. But I will confirm my covenant with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you at this time next year. When he finished talking with him, God withdrew from Abraham. So Abraham took his son Ishmael, and those born in his household were purchased, every male among the members of Abraham's household, and he circumcised the flesh of their foreskin on that very day, just as God had said to him. Abraham was 99 years old when the flesh of his foreskin were circumcised. My goodness. And his son Ishmael was 13 years old when the flesh of his foreskin was circumcised. On that very day, Abraham and his son Ishmael were circumcised, and all the men of his household, whether born in his household or purchased from a foreigner, were circumcised with him.
All right. So one thing you can take away um, So actually, let's see if there's some questions we can be answered because we didn't ask one for the second one. So question number one: is there a sin to avoid? As of right now, no sin was committed. Is there a promise to be proclaimed? And then the promise is the same promise from the last one, which is that he will make a nation from Abraham. The only difference is there will now be two nations because he has two sons. Is there an example to follow? Not yet. In a minute, there'll be an example not to follow, I would say, but I'm gonna get into that. Is there a command to obey? Which
Circumcision.
right, circumcision. Um, by the age of what is it?
8 days.
8 days. Circumcision by 8 days. Anyone that is not circumcised will be cut away from the family. And is there something to know about God? What you say?
Yeah. Um, I mean, he's making promises. He's promising to keep them. He's forming a covenant. He cares about the people that he has created.
Right. You know, and he's merciful. On which this is going to tie in with an example not to follow. So Abraham, Mister, this is my sister, twice. Just keep coming with him, bro. You just keep coming with him. I guess this is where the Israelites get it from. He just keep coming. Because here's another example of what not to follow is trying to, if God gives you a word, right? Told him, I will make a nation out of you. That's what he's going to do. He doesn't need your help to do that. All right. So the whole issue with Sarah and Hagar was an issue that, let me make sure I don't knock that drink over, is an issue that should never have happened. Because if he would have just stuck with the word that God gave him, then he will have a son by Sarah. But he didn't, neither did Sarah, but I don't think he's told Sarah, he just told Abraham. So yet again, here is a man that was told something, and then when it was time to make sure that we stick with it, he failed. First you had Abraham. First you had Adam, who got talked into eating the fruit when he knew he wasn't supposed to eat it. And here you go having Abraham that's being talked into having babies with other people when God told him that him and Sarah will have a child, not him and Hagar. All right, but if you just keep the faith, he doesn't need you to do anything other than what you're still doing. If he needed something special from you, he would have said it.
Okay.
He would have came to you and said, "Hey, I will make a nation with Hagar
Mm-hmm.
as the mother of the nations." But he didn't. It was Sarah as the mother. But even though he did something he wasn't supposed to and had another child, God still honored that child by still giving him a nation of his own. Is it the nation that God promised? No. But he did promise him that he will also be a father of a nation.
Right.
You know, on which we'll get into, that further along as far as, firstborns. It tells you if you have multiple wives and your firstborn is from a wife that, isn't your favorite, he's still your firstborn. And although your favorite had a son, he's not your firstborn. So you still have to honor your firstborn with the firstborn reward, Because back then, being the firstborn, you're basically inheriting everything your father has. At least 90% of it. They still, there's still portions that go to their other sons, but the bulk of it will go to the firstborn. You know, like if it was a empire, the empire will go to the firstborn, and then all the other kids will either get money or what I'm saying, if it's like a small part of the business. What I'm saying? If they own multiple businesses, you'll oversee this business. But as far as the head of the house, after I go, it would then go to the firstborn. Oh,
I cannot stand when they fly in my ear. I'm so sorry.
because they got the hole outside. I just don't understand.
You could be anywhere in the world,
You
but
could
you're
be
in my ear
anywhere
right
in the
now.
world.
Why?
But yeah. So on which we gonna get to that. That's a juicy story about the firstborns. That's gonna be coming up pretty soon. So we'll get more into what the firstborn gets.
Yes.
As we go along. So
we are not quite there yet, but we will make it there.
We will make it there. Oh, look, Sodom and Gomorrah is coming up.
Stop spoiling stuff.
I love Sodom and Gomorrah.
Chapter 18, which is not about Sodom and Gomorrah. Quite, is kind of. We'll get into it. The Lord appeared to Abraham at the oaks of Mamre while he was sitting at the entrance of his tent during the heat of the day. He looked up and saw 3 men standing near him. When he saw them, he ran from the entrance of the tent to meet them, bowed to the ground, and said, "My Lord, if I have found favor with you, please do not go on past your servant. Let a little water be brought, that you may wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree. I will bring a bit of bread. I will bring a bit of bread, so that you may strengthen yourselves. This is why you have passed your servant's way. Later you can continue on." "Yes," they replied, "do as you have said." So Abraham hurried into the tent and said to Sarah, "Quick, knead 3 measures of fine flour and make bread." Abraham ran to the herd and got a tender, choice calf. He gave it to a young man, who hurried to prepare it. Then Abraham took curds and milk, as well as the calf that he had prepared, and set them before the man. He served them as they ate under the tree. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "There, in the tent," he answered. "The Lord said, I will certainly come back to you in about a year's time, and your wife Sarah will have a son." Now Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent behind him. Abraham and Sarah were old and getting on in years. Sarah had passed the age of childbearing. So she laughed to herself, "After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I have delight?" But the Lord asked Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh, saying, 'Can I really have a baby when I am old? Is anything impossible for the Lord?' At the appointed time I will come back to you, and in about a year she will have a son." Sarah denied it. "I did not laugh," she said, because she was afraid. But he replied, "No, you did laugh." The men got up from here and looked out over Sodom, and Abraham was walking with them to see them off. Then the Lord said, "Should I hide what I am about to do from Abraham? Abraham is to become a great and powerful nation, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him so that he will command his children and his house after him to keep the way of the Lord, by doing what is right and just." This is how the Lord will fulfill to Abraham what he promised him. And the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is immense, and their sin is extremely serious. I will go down to see if what they have done justifies the cry that has come up to me. If not, I will find out." The men turned from there and went toward Sodom, while Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Abraham stepped forward and said, "Will you really sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away instead of sparing the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people who are in it? You cannot possibly do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. You cannot possibly do that. Won't the judge of the whole earth do what is just? The Lord said, if I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Then Abram answered, "Since I have ventured to speak, my Lord, even though I am dust and ashes, suppose the 50 righteous lack 5. Will you destroy the whole city for the lack of 5? He replied, "I will not destroy if I find 45 there." Then he spoke to him again. "Suppose 40 are found there." He answered, "I will not do it on account of 40. Then he said, "Let my Lord not be angry, and I will speak further. Suppose 30 are found there." He answered, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." Then he said, "Since I have ventured to speak to my Lord, suppose 20 are found there." He replied, "I will not do it on account of 20. Then he said, "Let my Lord let my Lord not be angry, and I will speak one more time. Suppose 10 are found there." He answered, "I will not destroy it on account of 10. When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he departed, and Abraham returned to his place.
He ain't the part he ran. He ain't finna ask me another question, bro.
Listen,
How many times you gonna ask me questions, bro?
listen. He was
Man,
asking God questions like children ask their parents.
man. I know you said I can have one. Can I just have two, Jesus?
Listen, for the questions, anything we learned about God, God is patient.
God is patient.
Because for him to sit there and really count down from 50 to 10,
Man,
God is patient.
was over there for the wipe you from existence real quick, bro.
Yeah.
Asking all these questions.
Man.
So it's very important, I realize why he's asking all these questions. That's what you gotta ask yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he asking? Well, if there's 50, okay, what about 45? Okay, Lord, what about 40? Okay, all right, you said 40, but what about 30?
Yeah.
All right, don't write me out of existence. But what about 20? Okay, how about 10?
Right.
Right? There's a reason he's asking these questions. The reason being would be for his nephew, Lot. Because he knows that his nephew Lot, on which we read from the last episode, he had to go and rescue from being a slave and saving Sodom and Gomorrah. Um, he knew that Lot was still in the those cities. So he's basically asking God that, all right, which shall draw or not destroy the city. So if you come across Lot and Lot has 50 people, would you destroy it? No. Okay. Say if Lot has 40 people, would you destroy it? No. All right, Lord. What about 30? So what if Lot's family consists 30 people? Would you still destroy it? No. That's what he's trying to get to, right? Because he knows Lot is in that city. And he's trying to figure out a way to save his nephew, Lot. Because he knows that he spent a lot of time with me. So he knows about you, Jesus. Now, can I say he, is living the life that I'm living? I can't say. But I do know he's a God fearing man. Right. Um, so, and I don't want to see him be destroyed.
That's such a good point. I never thought about it. Like, he was thinking about Lot. I
Right.
just thought that he was just asking.
All these irritating questions.
I thought like he was like trying to get down to like, okay, how much righteous outweighs
The unrighteous.
Yeah.
Right.
But I didn't think about it. Somebody he knows and loves, his nephew,
Is in that.
is
Yeah.
in the city. That makes
Is
sense.
in that town of unrighteous people.
Yeah. Right.
And if you so for my Bible readers out there, if you have ever read any other book, so like the Apocryphas, if you ever did research on any other book that is mentioned in the Bible, um, you will have the book of Enoch, um, on which I've read the first book of Enoch. I didn't make it through the second book just yet, but in the book of Enoch, he describes what people considered nowadays would be purgatory, which is that in between place, which is also where they get the word Hades, I believe. What was Hades over in the Greek mythology? What was that?
Maybe.
Because it wasn't called Hades, was it?
I thought so.
What was the guy who was over it there? What
I
was his
thought he
name?
was named Hades. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Well, if you ever seen the movie Hercules, right? Where the souls gather. They also, it's also called purgatory. So if you read the book of Enoch and take this with a grain of salt, um, Enoch describes this area into three stages, three parts. You have the people who lived a godly life and is just waiting for the rapture. You have people who did not live a godly life, who just outright denied God and lived the worst life possible. So like your Cains and everybody else. And then there's a section, in here, he says, he heard the cries of the many victims. So Enoch believes that there is a area where people gather, where they feel unjustly murdered.
So it would be like Abel.
Abel, yes. So when God said, I heard Abel cry out, you know, that is where he believes anybody who they felt was unrighteously murdered can cry out to the Lord. But like I said, there's many different type of stories that people have about heaven, about seeing heaven. I think there's a one that just surfaced not that long ago about I think it's a young man in his 20s who had an encounter with, I guess, the whole layout. I haven't watched it yet, but I heard about it. But yeah, so you know, take that how you want to take it. But you know, but to get a visual, I guess, can help you. You know, that is what you know he believed at least. There was a section to cry out to the Lord when you feel you was unjustly murdered and treated. And we know from the last book that they was already not doing good as far as following God's word. So it's crazy. And then chapter 19, go really kind of go into depth into exactly how wicked of a place that that they're at.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
The two angels entered Sodom in the evening as Lot was sitting in Sodom's gateway. When Lot saw them, he got up to meet them. He bowed with his face to the ground and said, "My lords, turn aside to your servant's house, wash your feet, and spend the night. Then you can get up early and go on your way." "No," they said, "we would rather spend the night in the square." But he urged them so strongly that they followed him and went into his house. He prepared a feast and baked unleavened bread for them, and they ate. Before they went to bed, the men of the city of Sodom, both young and old, the whole population, surrounded the house. They called out to Lot and said, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Send them out so that we can have sex with them." Lot went out to them at the entrance and shut the door behind him. He said, "Don't do this evil, my brothers. Look, I've got 2 daughters who haven't been intimate with a man. I'll bring them out to you, and you can do whatever you want to them. However, don't do anything to these men because they have come under the protection of my roof." "Get out of the way," they said, adding, "This one came here as an alien, but he's acting like a judge. Now we'll do more harm to you than to them." They put pressure on Lot and came up to break down the door. But the angels reached out, brought Lot into the house with them, and shut the door. They struck the men who were at the entrance of the house, both young and old, with blindness, so that they were unable to find the entrance. Then the angel said to Lot, "Do you have anyone else here, a son-in-law, your sons and daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of this place, for we are about to destroy this place, because the outcry against his people is so great before the Lord that the Lord has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went up and spoke to his sons-in-law who were going to marry his daughters. "Get up," he said. "Get out of this place, for the Lord is about to destroy the city." But his son-in-laws thought he was joking. At daybreak, the angel urged Lot on. "Get up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away in the punishment of the city." But he hesitated. Because of the Lord's compassion for him, the men grabbed his hand, his wife's hand, and the hands of his 2 daughters. They brought him out and left him outside the city. As soon as the angels...
So, real quick, before we continue, as you can see, this is why he is deciding to destroy the city. All right. It's the entire population of both young and old men. All right. Who are trying to basically rape 2 other men because they felt like they came here. Like they basically thought they was better than us, you know. Oh, which in all aspects they are. But but because we are offended and we feel that they are just way too arrogant, you know, we go rape them, and that is just bonkers.
Indeed.
Like that's crazy. You ain't trying to fight me. You know, it's not like get out here so we can fight you. No, let's get out here so we can rape you. Why are we just instantly jump to that?
They're perverse.
You know, just instantly just forget anything else. I know what exactly will put these guys in their place. Is I'm gonna rape them. The entire population. They didn't say some. The whole population of of males,
Yeah.
both young and old. All right. So it's very important because a lot of people be like, oh, you know what I'm saying, there was children in there. But you have to realize that they're so corrupt that the corruption goes to the youngest. The youngest of child already has that in him. You know, it's like I don't know if y'all have ever like watched stuff on racism, and slaveries back in the day. There's one picture in particular that stays in my mind anytime I think about racism, and it's a picture. There was a group of people around a tree hanging this black guy, and there's a little girl dead center looking up with the biggest smile on her face as this guy is being hung. And it's like she sees no issue with this. This is normal for her. So she feels that this is how the world is. This is so when I grow up, what is she going to do? She's going to do the same thing, you know, because there's nothing around her. There's nobody around her to tell her or to show her anything different other than the fact that anybody with brown skin is lesser than you, and you can do whatever you deem necessary to them, you know. And this is how they are. They're that corrupt that even the smallest of childs are here to do what we think about it nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Like you look and you see like people who you got teachers who sleep with their students, and then they still in elementary. It's like what possibly can this elementary kid, this little child do for you? You know, but in this city, he think, you know, and it's just crazy that it goes that deep. And I feel like a lot of time we don't realize just how deep it goes. So even if you spare the children, you're not sparing, you're not eliminating the situation, because these kids are just going to grow up to do the same thing that their parents did, because they see no wrong in how they live their life.
Right. That's all they know.
That's all they know, you know, is perversion, you know. And if they're willing to go this deep for people they don't know, you know, then like God said, you know, all the cries are just getting out of hand in these cities. That means the amount of people that they done killed or made suffer through sexual acts, you know, all the rape that they've done, you know. You get one person nowadays that rape a bunch of people, and y'all like, oh, yep, kill him. He's got, he's, you know, he's raping people. Yeah, go ahead. I'm okay with that. Go ahead, kill him. There's no different. You got a whole city doing it. So what do? You gotta wipe out the whole city. You know, because technically he only found four. He only found four, you know, and Adam didn't go that far down. You know, he only found four people that serves God out of an entire two cities. Out of two cities, four people. You
Yeah.
know, so yeah, just it's crazy.
Sorry.
Yeah. As soon as the angels got them outside.
Yes, verse 17.
Yes.
As soon as the angels got them outside, one of them said, "Run for your lives. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere on the plain. Run to the mountains, or you will be swept away." But Lot said to them, "No, my lords, please. Your servant has indeed found favor with you, and you have shown me great kindness by saving my life. But I can't run to the mountains. The disaster will overtake me, and I will die. Look, this town is close enough for me to flee to. It is a small place. Please let me run to it. It's only a small place, isn't it? So that I can survive." And he said to him, "All right, I'll grant your request about this matter, and will not demolish the town you mentioned. Hurry up, run to it, for I cannot do anything until you get there." Therefore, the name of the city is Zor. The sun had risen over the land when Lot reached Zor. Then out of the sky the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah, burning sulfur from the Lord. He demolished these cities, the entire plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, and whatever grew on the ground. But Lot's wife looked back and became a pillar of salt. Early in the morning, Abraham went to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah and all the land of the plain, and he saw that smoke was going up from the land, like smoke of the furnace. So it was, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham, and brought Lot out of the middle of the upheaval when he demolished the cities where Lot had lived. Lot departed from Zoar and lived in the mountains, along with his 2 daughters, because he was afraid to live in Zoar. Instead, he and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. Then the firstborn said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man in the land to sleep with us, as it is the custom of all the land. Come, let's get our father to drink wine, so that we can sleep with him and preserve our father's line." So they got their father to drink wine that night. And the firstborn came and slept with her father. He did not know when she lay down or when she got up. The next day the firstborn said to the younger, "Look, I slept with my father last night. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, so you can go sleep with him, and we can preserve our father's line." That night they again got their father to drink wine, and the younger one went and slept with him. He did not know when she lay down or when she got up. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The firstborn gave birth to a son named Moab. He is the father of the Moabites of today. The younger also gave birth to a son, and she named him Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites of today. That is chapter 19.
That is chapter 19. If that's not a juicy story, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. So, if you look at it, so it doesn't say how old Lot is compared to Abraham. But we do know Abraham is, what, 99 around this time? Because that's where he was circumcised, right? When he was 99.
I believe. Yes.
So we can speculate that Lot's probably around the same age. Maybe a little younger, maybe. But, we don't really know. We do know that he was able to accumulate the same amount of livestock and people as Abraham. That's why they split in the first place. Um, so yeah, so let's just say he up there in age. He like, look, I can't run that far, Jesus. Look, God, I don't think I can make it to the mountains. But let me make it to this city instead. You know, so obviously, based on the fact that they left the city, it wasn't a good city to begin with for them to run to. If he didn't make it to that, if he probably would have went to the mountain 9 times out of 10, that place would probably been destroyed also. Um, so his wife, looking back at it, one of the ways you can look at it that there's many ways you could look at it, but one of the ways that God has given me a way to look at this situation is that sometimes we the destination doesn't look as pretty as what we're leaving. You know, where we're going may not be as nice as the situation that God is getting us out of. Their house was back there, their whole life was in this town. And, she's now forced to leave that to go to a town that is not great. Obviously we know that because Lot left it the first chance he got because he didn't feel safe there. You know, versus the mountains, that if he would have just went to the mountains where God told him to go instead of picking a destination on his own, then his wife probably wouldn't have looked back, you know. But she knew that where she was going wasn't as good as what she was leaving. As far as that's her house, you know, she had her memories at this house. It's like leaving your house to a unknown destination. But We have to trust in God and understand that God isn't going to lead us to destruction. If God told him to run to the mountains, he know you can make it to the mountains. He wouldn't have told you to go. There's no point in saving you if the where he's going to take you is going to get you killed. That makes no sense. He was better off just leaving you there to die with the rest of your villagers, but he didn't. Um, so yeah, so that mistake caused him, his wife, you know, because you ended up going to the mountains anyway. So it's like,
Yeah.
why couldn't you just go straight to the mountain to begin with? Why stop at this town when you ended up at the same destination where God told you to go anyway, but without your wife. Like, was the consequence worth it? You
Mm.
know. But not only that, now your daughters got you drunk, and now your sons is your grandsons. So
Yeah.
how would that work? Yeah, they'll be grand.
They're his sons and his grandsons.
Yes,
Yes.
interesting. But yeah, but what we go do, I don't got my pen. I'll write it down later. But we go take note of the Moabites. We'll see what comes of the Moabites. See how they living as we go on, and then see what the Ammonites are looking like, down the line, and see if how they ended up played a part in how that nation was conceived.
And I guess in your explanation, you kind of answered some of our questions there about kind of like an example not to follow would be
Right.
to, you know,
Trust in God.
tr-
Where God tells you to go, you go. He always has your best interests in heart, even if you feel that it is not. You know. Um, and then a commandment was that you know to obey. I don't know if he gave a commandment.
I mean, the commandment to leave the city immediately.
Right.
You
But
know.
they kind of just pushed about the city because he was always
Yeah, he kept hesitating.
the man kept hesitating. Like, look, man, if y'all don't leave, bro, I need y'all to leave. Uh, but yeah,
Chapter 20.
chapter 20.
From there, Abraham traveled to the region of Negev and settled between Kadesh and Shur. While he was staying in Gerar, Abraham said about his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." So King Abimelech of Gerar had Sarah brought to him. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, "You are about to die because of the woman you have taken, for she is a married woman." Now Abimelech had not approached her, so he said, "Lord, would you destroy a nation even though it is innocent? Didn't he himself say to me, 'She is my sister,' and she herself said, 'He is my brother'? I did this with a clear conscience and clean hands." Then God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know that you did this with a clear conscience. I have also kept you from sinning against me. Therefore, I have not let you touch her. Now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you and you will live. But if you do not return her, know that you will certainly die, you and all who are yours." Early in the morning, Abimelech got up, called all his servants together, and personally told them all these things. And the men were terrified. Then Abimelech called Abraham in and said to him, "What have you done to us? How did I sin against you that you have brought such enormous guilt on me and on my kingdom? You have done things to me that should never be done." Abimelech also asked Abraham, "What made you do this?" Abraham replied, "I thought, there is absolutely no fear of God in this place. They will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she really is my sister, the daughter of my father, though not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. So when God had me wander from my father's house, I said to her, 'Show your loyalty to me wherever we go, and say about me, He's my brother. Then Abimelech took flocks and herds and male and female slaves, gave them to Abraham, and returned his wife Sarah to him. Abimelech said, "Look, my land is before you. Settle wherever you want." And he said to Sarah, "Look, I am giving your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. It is a verification of your honor to all who are with you. You are fully vindicated." Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female slaves, so that they could bear children. For the Lord had completely closed all the wombs in Abimelech's household on account of Sarah, Abraham's wife.
And that is the end.
Indeed.
Indeed. So here we go again.
This man talking about she's my sister.
Mister, she my sister.
Again.
Again. What's this, 3 times?
Man.
This 3 times?
Multiple times. I don't know. I don't know exactly. I don't know if it's 2 or 3, but
I feel like we had 3 times now that this man done said that. Well, at least we know he ain't lying, at least in a sense. But come on now, bro.
yeah.
How many people you finna get killed?
Yeah. Why are you doing this? Because you've seen the outcome of what happens when you do this before. You know that God, has your back. The God not gonna let these people kill you on account of your wife.
Right.
And you just like, nope, she my sister. She my sister.
She my sister.
And then if he take your wife, then he gonna be in the wrong.
They always take his wife.
Sarah.
And say the same thing.
And Sarah old now, so Sarah really must be looking good.
But she gotta be a baddie, right? Because how many, like, bro?
Everybody
wanted.
Everybody wanted Sarah.
everybody wanted a piece of Sarah.
My goodness.
Everybody wanted a piece of Sarah. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Any of our questions we can answer for this chapter?
Is there a sin to avoid?
I would say lying, and then also, you probably don't sleep with a married woman. Of course, Abimelech didn't know that Sarah was married,
right?
But God was prepared to strike him down.
He was ready.
if he did, so don't do that.
And then a promise. Is there a promise?
I don't think so. He won't die if you return his wife. He won't. Yeah. You'll be okay if you return him his wife.
You'll be okay as long as you ain't sleeping with married women. You'll be all right. And then example not to follow again would be stop telling people your wife is your sister.
Right.
I don't know how long it's gonna take for him to get that down, but we're gonna see because I'm pretty sure we at 3. Pretty sure we are at number 3 for that one. Is there a command to obey? He didn't give any commandments yet. And then something to know about God.
He takes marriage seriously, I'll say.
Absolutely. Unity.
He got Abraham's back, he's protecting Abraham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whether we feel that, God allowed things to happen without any consequences. I feel like there's always consequences to your actions. It might not come when you want them to come. It might not come how you want them to come. But when someone is unjustly murdered, and they cry out to God, God hears them. And I feel like God then formulates a plan on how to, best deal with situations. One of the things that, I've come to realize is that I feel that situations are preventable and that God put things on people's hearts to prevent stuff. But due to us, we don't. Whether it's something we're afraid of, you know, like there's a guy who asks for money while I'm at work. You know, I came across. I took out some cash the day before. I was gonna give to him or whatever, and I didn't see him, so I kept the cash in my pocket. And then the next day I seen him, so I pulled over to give him the cash. So he was telling me his story, how he's finna I think it was his some bill, either I think it was his light bill that he was short and he needs to get it paid before they turn it off. They already sent him the notice, and I think he said he was like $75 short. And I'm listening to the story, and I feel like God was telling me to give him the $75. And in my heart, I'm like, Jesus, I only got 100. I was like, I only got $100, Jesus. That gotta last me a week, you know. But I was like, look, let me finish this section that I got over here to do, and then I'm gonna come back around. I was like, give me like 20 minutes. Let me drop this off. I'll hit up an ATM, and then I'll swing by. Um, but I did that, so I did gave it to him. But if I whether the story is true, some everybody has their opinions on whether or not the story that the people asking you for money is true or not. That's not for me to judge.
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, God puts it out there to help those in need, and if we can help those, we should help those. Whether their story is true, they will get their due justice through God's, not mine's. So if I take that example, and let's say the example, he was really struggling, and I didn't, and then his lights got turned off. Him and his wife now they're you know in the dark, struggling even more because now they gotta pay that on top of the disconnection notice. You know, um, you know, I've lived in the dark before. We've lived in the dark for a short period of time. It's not fun, you know.
No.
But if God sent me, if God removed him that day, right, and then placed him back the next day, for me to then meet him and then for him to tell me his story, so I could then help him pay his light bill, gas bill. I believe it was his light, you know. And then, because I think I gave him, I think it was a little bit over or whatever. He was like, then I got extra. I could go buy my wife some food or whatever.
Oh.
So I just gave him the rest of the money that was in my pocket.
Oh.
But, because I think it was like $5. I think I had another 11. So I'm like, look, bro, just take it all, okay? Just
Yeah.
because your struggle, if it's real, is a lot worse than my struggle is. I might be struggling to pay a lot of things, but there God has always found a way to make it through. And if God has sent me to help you, I'm going to help you. And I
Yeah.
feel that there's people that God puts in front of other people to help them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you hear certain stories, like if you take a murder or a kidnapping, something goes wrong, there's always that one person that be like, I should have did this, I should have did that. That is God. I feel like that's God telling you that's what you should have did, and that would have changed a scenario for this person if you did speak up, you know, on what she told you, or this, or what you've seen. There's always signs. People say there's always signs before a tragedy happens. If someone's being abused at home, there's signs that they're being abused at home, before it gets to the point of their life being taken. And we see it, but we don't want to say nothing. And that's why the posters exist. If you see something, say something. Because we hear they hear it all the time. I seen something, I just didn't say nothing. I guess there was something in me holding me back from saying something. And I feel like that's God's way of telling you, like, hey, I need you to step in, you know, to help this person, you know. And we let fear get in the way from, doing certain things. But I'm not here to go so deep. But if you see something, say something. But yeah, so that is ours for today. The next one is what, the birth of their son.
Yes.
Right, the birth of Isaac.
Of Isaac.
Yeah, so the birth of Isaac, and we'll go the 5 on that one. Um, so thank y'all for tuning in again. We will pray. Um, but we appreciate you guys for watching. Hope you guys are learning some stuff. You know, so go ahead, pray us out there, my dear.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us this time to be in your presence, to read your word. Please allow us to grow and learn. May we discover something new about you, discover something new about ourselves. May we grow closer to our purpose, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Y'all have a great day.
Bye.